HowExpert! Top 10 East Asia Traveling Tips. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more HowExpert Top 10 videos in the future. Moving on, let's talk about the HowExpert Top 10 East Asia Traveling Tips. Number 10. Know what you are eating. It's true. Food in East Asia is a big deal. There are many different opportunities to try and enjoy dishes that are not available anywhere else, and often these dishes can be found for quite a good price. Be mindful that in some of the places, you need to exercise a little more caution than you may otherwise be used to. It's common sense, but food poisoning can make any traveling experience pretty uncomfortable. So at the very least, be aware of the possibility. With that in mind, I would encourage you to take advantage of where you are in the world and try as many of the local dishes as possible. Number 9. Don't get ripped off. One thing that seemed to be a common occurrence in most of the countries I lived in was the desire to overcharge travelers and tourists. Many of these countries are poorer, and the standard of living is lower than what we are used to in the West. With that being the case, there is a thriving group of people willing to take advantage of you and charge more than the actual price. Whether it be for a motorcycle taxi, dinner, or a hotel room, be aware of the fact that you might be being overcharged, so keep your eyes open. Number 8. Familiarize yourself with the language. Whether you are planning on staying in the country for a week or for a year, I would recommend attempting to learn at least some of the language as quickly as possible. While it is true that English is globally used, Southeast Asia being no exception, it means a lot to the locals if you attempt to communicate in their native tongue. On top of it being appreciated by local people, you get a certain feeling when speaking the language of the country you're in that most definitely will satisfy you. It also lets locals know that you are attempting something that many other tourists do not, and might reduce the price of whatever you are purchasing. Number 7. Do your research. Before you arrive in any Southeast Asian countries, I would highly advise you to do as much research as you can about your destinations. This can help prepare you for some of the things you will see during your travels and help you understand some of the stuff you will encounter while there. Having some knowledge of the countries you are traveling in helps equip in almost every way that it can. Number 6. Get used to being uncomfortable. If you plan on traveling to these countries, I would also recommend that you are willing to step out of your comfort zone. Many of the countries and cultures of Southeast Asia are about as different as you can get from our lives here in the West. It could be looked at as a negative and something to complain about, but I wouldn't go down that route. I would accept that the situation or behavior is different than what I am used to, and then attempt to be as open as I possibly could be towards it. Number 5. See as much as possible. In each of the countries I lived in Asia, they all had amazing things to see and places to visit. I would encourage any would-be traveler to Southeast Asia to do as much research as possible about each of the countries they plan to visit. Regardless of the traveling duration, I would make sure and visit as many of these spectacular places as I could. Whether they are natural or historical, Southeast Asia has no shortage of amazing places to explore. Number 4. Dive right in. Coming from a small town in southern Oregon, traveling in and around Asia was quite a culture shock at the beginning. I would advise any would-be traveler to East Asia to first and foremost keep an open mind. Many of the behaviors and customs you will see will seem anywhere from a little confusing to flat-out bizarre. Remember that you will be in countries that are very different from what you may be used to. Again, try to keep an open mind and enjoy as much of the experience as you can. Number 3. Keep safe. Many countries in Southeast Asia are more impoverished than the United States or other countries in the West. Thus, it is essential to be safe and be mindful of the situations you are in. While I never personally had any troubles during the years I spent there, it is an important thing to keep in mind. I would say the most common problems one could encounter would be theft, whether it's being pickpocketed or being taken advantage of on prices for being a tourist. It's important to keep your belongings safe. and be aware of local prices. Number 2, watch out for traffic. Another very common thing I ran into in most Southeast Asian countries was hectic drivers. Whether in a car, truck, or motorcycle, the driving seems to be quite more chaotic than it is in the United States. Don't assume that the drivers will obey the same traffic laws that you are used to. Generally speaking, it is most important to keep your eyes open and be aware that there can be some very wild driving over there. I speak with some personal experience with this. While in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, I was hit by a motorcycle while crossing the street after work. Unfortunately, my head hit the ground hard enough to cause a subdural hematoma, and I needed to have a craniotomy, subsequently spending several weeks in the hospital. Fortunately, I made a full recovery and have had many great experiences traveling since then. So please, be as aware as possible of reckless and unexpected driving. Number 1, have fun. This final point is a combination of all of the other things I've mentioned. I first traveled to Asia only a couple of weeks after turning 18 years old. I liked it so much that I spent most of the next 15 years living and teaching English in China, Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar. I was also able to spend time visiting several other countries in the area. There were certainly times spent being confused and frustrated, but they were significantly overshadowed by how amazing the whole experience was. My greatest advice would be to keep an open mind. Doing this will allow you to enjoy new people and new places as much as possible. Most of all, have as much fun as you can. If you liked our video, be sure to click like and subscribe for more HowExpert Top 10 videos for all topics from A to Z in the future. Also, let us know what other topics you want us to do a HowExpert Top 10 video in the future in the comments below. Thank you, have an amazing day, and take care. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more.